Hi everyone, how are you doing? My name is Wambui Nyakinyi and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new, karibu sana, and thank you so much guys for subscribing, and thank you for interacting with my content. If you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe. That is how we get to grow this channel. As you can tell from the title of this video, today I'll be talking about the challenges I went through living in Australia. I felt like, I should put it out there. So if someone is going through this right now, no, you're not alone. I've spoken to some people who actually related to these things and it gets better. So I'll be talking about the challenges I went through when I was new in Australia. Not that I don't have challenges right now, but I feel like right now I handle them better than I did when I was new. So for those who are new, I am Kenyan, born and raised there, and I moved to Australia almost 5 years ago, and I live in Melbourne. Disclaimer, I love Australia. Australia is my home, and I have done a video actually about the things I love most about Australia. If you haven't watched that video, I'll leave the link in the description box, so make sure to check it out. So these are just challenges, and challenges are everywhere you go, so these have nothing to do with my hate for Australia. I do love Australia. So let's get into this video. So my first challenge, I feel like being a student, an international student, was a challenge by itself. So a little background about me: I came to Australia to study. I am not studying anymore, but that is how I came to Australia, and for me it was a challenge. And the first challenge was raising the school fee. So today I'll be talking about the students who migrate to Australia and they pay their own school fees. This is because there are some people who get scholarships and there are some people who get people who pay their own school fees. So when you're moving to Australia, you're told you can work and study at the same time, which is true, but the truth of the matter is you can only work 20 hours a week, which is not much. Even if you can work full-time on your school breaks, it is not much because the school fees is on the higher side. That is, for example, for universities, you pay, let's say, between 16,000 Australian dollars to $20,000. That is almost around 1 point something million Kenyan shillings in every semester. So it is not easy, and 20 hours is not enough actually to raise that money. It is doable. People work and save for their school fees, but it is a challenge. It is very hard to raise that amount of money. So that is one of the reasons why I found it a challenge being an international student. And the other one was health. Let me tell you, one of the requirements as a student is have health cover. Being an international student, if you get sick, then it was an issue for me because they were not very helpful. Because each time I went to the hospital, they'd said, we don't cover that, we don't cover that. And then at the end of the day, I ended up paying from my own pocket, and let me tell you, paying from your own pocket is not cheap. So I found that really challenging. That brings me to my second point, which is finding a job was not easy. Let me tell you, when you're a student, finding a job in Australia can be very challenging. This is why. So like I said, you can only work limited time. Okay, and when a company is hiring you, the first thing they ask is, are you a student? And if you're a student, you can only work 20 hours. So that means you're not reliable. You find that they hesitate to hire people who are students. Not that they don't. Some people actually prefer students, but finding a job was very hard for me. And also because they were asking for Australian experience. So if you come to Australia and you're looking for a job and you don't have an experience from Australia, just tell them you do. Because let me tell you, without experience from here, they actually don't give you a job. They'll give the job to someone else who have experience from Australia. and it's really hard for you to like say you had experience overseas. They do not want that. They want experience from Australia, and I found that are really discriminative. Yes, because I mean, it's cleaning. I can clean. I don't need experience from Australia, but that is a requirement. It's so sad, but it is a requirement. They need experience from Australia, and that is why it took me 8 months to get a job in Australia. If you write that you're a student and you don't have any experience from Australia, they were not going to give you the job. So that was another challenge that I went through. My third challenge was language barrier. You might ask, language barrier, it's English. Let me tell you, Australians have their own slang. So it's like you go to Kenya and someone is speaking Sheng. I personally don't understand Sheng, most of it, but then Australians have their own slang, and they have a way of pronouncing things, and they have the way they want you to understand those things. And it was really hard for me to grasp when I came here. And they will actually make you feel dumb for not knowing what they were saying. I worked in catering for my first job, and someone once asked for a cuppa. I did not know what that was, but when they explained it, they said, "Oh, you want a cup of tea?" And they were like, "Yes, are you dumb?" No, ma'am, I'm not dumb. I just didn't know what that was. So my fourth challenge that I struggled with was shared accommodation. So when I came to Australia, I learned that you can live with strangers in the same house. So for example, you can rent a room in a house, and then other people can rent the other rooms, and then you will be sharing the common areas. Common areas might be the bathroom if you're not living in the master's bedroom, and kitchen, and the living room, and maybe the other rooms that are common. So you will only have the privacy in your bedroom. So living with strangers was not something that I enjoyed doing, but it is cheap, because then renting your own room can be very expensive. Because for example, you're renting a 1-bedroom, you might end up paying $250 a week. That is minus the bills. But then if you're sharing, you can pay $150 and that is inclusive of the bills. So it is cheaper, and you don't have to actually buy most of the things. You find them that they are already provided. So it is a very good thing, but for me it was a challenge. Then some people can be too much to live with. I'm sorry to say so, but it is true. So that is something I struggled with. And the last thing that I want to discuss today, not that I don't have any other challenges, but the last thing I want to discuss today is racism. Racism is there. I don't like speaking about it so much, but because I haven't gone through much or very intense racism, but people have. And discrimination, let me call it discrimination. And I also like to call it social racism, because no one really comes to you direct and call you names, but how they do things and how they interact with you can really tell much that they're only doing that because of your race or your skin color or where you come from. And it is there, and this is something you find in so many places. You are treated differently for your skin color. I personally don't mind. I don't mind a lot, because as much as there are people who are very, very racist, there are people who are very, very sweet, and I feel like they overpower the racism, and yeah, so it is there. Yeah, just know how to deal with it. Don't let it stress you. I mean, I'm African. I'm proud of it. I wouldn't change a thing, and that is why it doesn't really bother me so much. But in other cases, it can be very, very bad. So if it's bad, deal with it. If you need to call someone, call someone. If you need to report it, because let me tell you, don't let someone walk all over you. So if you're going through these challenges, it gets better, and you get to know better, you grow as a person. So it's not something that is permanent, and challenges are everywhere. So if you're going through it, make sure to speak to a person. I know these things can be very very hard and can do one or two things to your mental health. So feel free to talk to someone and reach out. Also, you can share down below in the comment section about the things you went through when you migrated or where you're living. And yeah, I see you in my next video. Bye.